And it's now my pleasure to introduce His Excellency, the United Kingdom Ambassador to the State of Israel, Matthew Gould. Ambassador Gould served as Principal Private Secretary to the Foreign Secretary for 3 years, following a stint as Private Secretary for Foreign Affairs to the Prime Minister. He also served for 2 years as the Deputy Head of Mission at the British Embassy in Tehran, where he visited the city's synagogues and kept in touch with the Jewish community there. I know he also keeps in touch with the Jewish community here as well. Ambassador Gould, you should know that we have 50 students with British citizenship at IDC Herzliya. So you should know that. Not for the tax authorities, but you should know that as the ambassador. Okay? Ambassador Gould.
Well, thank you very much. אחד, אני מצטער, אני צריך לדבר באנגלית. עברית שלי, אני לומד, אבל זה לא פשוט. So perhaps by the time of the next Olympic Games, I'll be able to give you a speech entirely in Ivrit. היום באנגלית. I've actually found myself doing repeated events at the IDC Herzliya. This is one of a number of such events. In fact, I think it's time, and I'm looking at you, to say, if I do any more, either I get a salary or I get a degree, one or the other. I'm really the warm-up act for Pauline Neville-Jones, who is one of the very leading authorities in the UK on security and on counter-terrorism work, and has an extraordinary experience in both our foreign service and our intelligence community, as well as in government as a minister. And I wanted to say this: when I joined the Foreign Service 20 years ago, Baroness Neville-Jones was among the very top officials of our foreign ministry, and I was terrified of her. Today we meet again after 20 years, and I have to tell you, I'm still terrified. This is an extraordinary year for the UK. We've just had the celebrations for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, and they were quite amazing. They were very English. They were very ceremonial, they were very dignified, and they were very wet. And you had 1 million people standing by the banks of the River Thames, watching 1,000 ships sail by in honor of the Queen. And 2 days later, you had 1.5 million people standing in front of Buckingham Palace. And this is significant for reasons I want to tell you. And then we've got the Olympics and the Paralympics coming up. So this is a remarkable year for the UK. And a lot of attention is going to be on London. A lot of conferences like this one looking at different aspects of what we're doing this year. But I also recognize that the London Olympics and Paralympics will be a special one for Israel as well. That it's 60 years since Israel first competed. It's 20 years since Israel first won a medal. And perhaps most significantly, it's 40 years since the tragedy at Munich. And what I really want to tell you is that London is ready. London is ready for you. London is ready for the Olympics. And London is enthusiastically waiting to welcome the Israeli Olympic team and Israel's supporters. First of all, the Olympic facilities. I went to the Olympic Park a few weeks ago. I think it's a measure of the security they have in place that I was checked thoroughly on the way in, and even when we were being driven round, I wasn't allowed out of the car. But the facilities are stunning. The venues for the individual sports are quite beautiful and designed with beauty and function in mind. The main Olympic stadium is really breathtaking. And venue after venue and the whole park itself as an organic whole has been absolutely beautifully designed and has been got ready months and months in advance of the Olympics so it can be tested and make sure that everything works. And the thing about the Olympic Park is it's not just beautiful and functional. It does two other things as well. These will be the most environmentally friendly Olympics that have ever been made. So in the very design of our venues, in the way they've been put together, from the construction materials to the methods to their use of power and water, it's going to be an immensely environmentally friendly Olympics. And we've seen what happens to Olympic parks after the Olympics in other countries, in our predecessors. And we were determined that these Olympics should leave behind in East London a wonderful legacy for the future. And so we're using the Olympic Park and the excuse of the Olympics to give an enormous boost to a part of London that had previously been underdeveloped and needed a boost. And we're turning it, for example, creating one of the most exciting digital tech centers in the whole of Europe, right on the Olympic Park's doorstep. So the facilities are ready. I also wanted to say that we're ready not just for the Olympics, but the Paralympics. That for the first time, the planning for both have been integrated in a single operation, and that all the venues and the village have been made extraordinarily accessible, so that this will be one of the most accessible games that has ever been put on. And we're ready for the security challenges. And Pauline is going to say more. But as the previous speakers said, we know what we're doing. This is going to be a huge operation, well over $1 billion being spent just on the security. It's going to be led by intelligence, but the security has been built into the very design of the games. The very design of the Olympic Park is what we've called secured by design. And our security arrangements have been tested, and they've been drilled, and our teams have been coordinated, so we know by the time the first athletes arrive and the first spectators arrive, we are ready. One of the previous speakers mentioned the use of red teams, and I don't think it'll be giving any secrets away to say we've had that idea too. And we have thought about the security from every angle. And I mentioned the celebrations for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. They were in certain respects a very nice dress rehearsal. To have two huge events in London just a few weeks before the Olympics start, involving over 1 million people each, is a fantastic way to test the systems and test the coordination. And they passed off absolutely flawlessly. Now I know the particular concerns of the Israeli team, of Israel and the Friends of Israel about security at the Olympics. We remember what happened in Munich. And I understand that no Israeli athlete can march underneath the Israeli flag at the opening ceremony of the Olympics without having seared into their memory what happened in Munich. And I want to use this occasion to pay tribute to the families of those killed at the savage and cowardly attack in Munich, who have preserved their memory and their dignity and their honor with, I thought, exceptional courage. And the families of those victims who I've met have really inspired me. And we won't let you down. Now, I know there's been a lot of controversy about the question of a minute's silence and a commemoration. And this is and it has to be a matter for the International Olympic Committee, whose games it is. We are the host, they are the organizers. But one of the previous speakers said, well, the English being the English won't turn up to a commemoration. And that's just not true, because I think we're making very clear what the British government thinks on this issue when we announced that our Secretary of State, our Minister for Sports, will be going to the Embassy of Israel in London to their commemoration of the victims of Munich. So we will remember, and we will keep the Israeli delegation safe. And so the last thing I want to say is this. We're ready for the Olympics, but specifically, we're ready for Israel. We're ready to give the team and all its supporters the warmest of welcomes. The Olympics are going to take place in one of the most wonderful, vibrant, cultural cities in the world. I would say that I come from London, but I do believe it. And we can promise the delegation and the Israeli fans and supporters a fantastic experience. And we're doing everything that we possibly can to ensure that that you are safe and properly looked after and made to feel as welcome as you possibly can be. So the only thing you need to worry about is the sport and the medaillot. B'hatzlaha, and thank you.